I honor the Lord Jesus Christ, who is the great head of the Christian church. To the esteemed pastor of this church, Elder King, and to all of these my preaching brothers, who shares with me the grand hour of preaching, and to all of you who are saints of the Most High God. It is indeed good to be in the house of God. To hear the gospel preached. One more time.
One more time.
One more time. One more time. One more time. And all that the Father hath given to him shall come to him. Because my sheep will hear my voice. You can be assured of that. He'll not lose one given him by God. I want you to turn with me tonight in the 9th chapter of the book of Judges. Judges, the 9th chapter. I want to read a few of the verses, beginning at verse 50. Then went Abimelech to Thebez and encamped against Thebez and took it. But there was a strong tower within the city, and thither fled all the men and women, and all they of the city, and shut it to them, and got them up to the top of the tower. And Abimelech came unto the tower and fought against it, and went hard unto the door of the tower to burn it with fire. And a certain woman cast a piece of millstone upon Abimelech's head, and all to break his skull. I want to talk a little bit tonight about the tower in the city. The tower in the city. It does appear sometimes that hard and dedicated labor is counted as nothing. One wonders sometimes why spend so much energy in trying to do it right and in trying to do it well when others who seemingly don't care are just as honored. Why put forth all of this energy when nobody cares anyway? The late Dr. Sandy Ray said one time he didn't see why preachers put so much in sermons, because folk only heard the last 5 minutes of them. Said, give them the 5 minutes and sit down. It appears that love and faithfulness has a way of blowing in the wind. When we are given to these bizarre feelings as church workers and faithful servants of God, the 9th chapter of Judges would be a good story to read. I don't know exactly what the Dark Ages, as they referred to in history, were, but I do know this: we are in some dark ages today. If I didn't believe in my heart that God still reigns and His church is going to come through, I would throw up my hands and throw in the towel. I am freshly reminded tonight, beloved saints of God, truth that's crushed to the earth will rise again, and God is not unmindful to remember. The opposition, thorns, and enemies may reign supreme, but only for a season. Truth and righteousness shall prevail. Sometimes you feel so remote and recluse, you feel like you're just a little cup of nothing on the backside of nowhere, ignored by all, tramped on by the big dogs, rolled over by the big wheels. Stay in your corner. Be faithful to the gospel of Jesus Christ. God will not forget your faithfulness. Why, the whole world screams about the drug problem, and God knows it's a devastating thing. It's ripping the heart out of our nation, out of our world. We even have a sadder problem than the drug problem. It's the ungodliness of organized religion. It is extremely difficult today to get half of the people we know to believe we are real. The world has seen so much. They don't believe any preacher is real. It hurts sometimes, but I can understand where they're coming from. They believe all of our churches are phonies, and we are money grabbers and deceivers, and there's not a drop of spirituality in us. They believe all of our singing and clapping and shouting is only a formality. Oh, God, visit the church again with true revival. God, 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 purge your house. Come in again and drive out the money changers. Declare this house to be your Father's house, the house of prayer. We need God to visit us again in true revival. Oh, and when He doth come, He will prove the real thing from the phony thing. Have I got any warriors? My brothers and sisters, the text today, actually the entire chapter, refreshes me. For I know at times in my life, God may be silent. But even when God is silent, He's saying something. He hasn't left the throne. He's still in control. And I need to know that as I make my way across these years. I need to know that He's still in control. In the text, Gideon is remembered. Gideon, that boy that played with the fleece. We remember Gideon as a champion, as a warrior, as a leader, and as a father. But it was as it is. No sooner than Gideon died, Israel forgot her God. They forgot the work of Gideon. They forgot the mercy of their master. Oh, say what you will, beloved, but it's mighty good to have a good preacher in the pulpit. I know that's getting rare, but it's good to find one if you can. Because a good preacher is going to remind you of the mercies of God. And every time you come in here, you need somebody to remind you that God hath been merciful to you. You need to be reminded of the eternal kindness of God. And yet, you must also be reminded that God is a holy God. And that he's angry with the wicked every day. And he will by no means clear the guilty. You need to be reminded of the wrath of God and the judgment of God. You need a good preacher in the pulpit who's not raising his anniversary money and beating his own drums, but's talking about Jesus Christ. If ever there was a time this nation, this world, this church age, this economy ought to hear about Jesus Christ, it is now. In Sunday school, in the BTU, in the choir meeting, in the usher meeting, every kind of meeting, somebody ought to remind us of the holiness of the living God. We have become so full with religion, we have forgotten the living God. It's strange, beloved, how a man can get hold of good doctrine and miss Christ. I know men who can rattle off Baptist doctrine backwards and forward. They know his cock better than his cock. But they missed Jesus. Don't tell me how much doctrine you know. If a man has been saved by the grace of God, it ought to make that man a gracious man. Have I got any warriors? Take great heart in our dilemma. The last song hasn't been sung yet. Men may wreck a movement, but they'll never wreck the power behind it. If the movement is a righteous one. Gideon, a strong champion in the land of Israel. In the days when judges ruled the land. Gideon fathered 70 sons. And he fathered one son by a slave girl. The boy's name was Abimelech. Are you with me? It appears to me that after the death of Gideon, his 70 sons became somewhat of a governing body. Something like the city council. They became the authoritative board in Shechem. Now, some years after Gideon had died, this son that Gideon had sired, begotten by the slave girl Abimelech, returned to Shechem. And he came with a most unusual proposal. He came proposing that this band of 70 be dissolved and the land be ruled by one man. Now, beloved, you would never guess who he proposed the one man who was to rule was to be. He proposed that his 70 brothers would be removed and he would become the ruler of the land. This proposal took a sweet taste in the mouth of the people, and they made this one son of Gideon their king. You got to get the story. Hang on, hanging on. We'll be down the road in a few minutes. Hang on to the story. Now, one thing is missing in this kingly appointment. It's often missing in our beloved churches today. They made them a king and never had prayer meetings. They made them a leader without consulting the leader. It's dangerous then. It's dangerous now. I'm afraid of church leaders who never have time to come to prayer meetings. Brethren, I'm halfway afraid of you men who make the decisions for the church and you show up at business meetings and never come to prayer meetings. I'm a little leery about you self-appointed church bosses that never show up at the Bible study and come to Sunday school and stand outside and talk while it's going on and come in here and give directions for the whole body. I don't know if we need you on this. I'm scared. I get nervous of men who can put their hand in their pocket and jingle their change and give all the orders in the church. But I've never seen you on your knees asking God for his guidance. And God knows I'm afraid of a preacher who won't pray. Wasn't it Mr. Spurgeon who said before you talk to the people about God, you better talk to God about the people? Have I got any warriors? Self-appointed leaders will in the end be a disappointment. Be careful of those who grovel and angle their way to get to what they feel some high position. True leaders are those you almost have to pull up. You offer it to them, they don't want it. Because we are just glad to be servants in the house of the Lord. A young man came to me in my church a few weeks ago and he says, "Elder, I believe God's calling me." I said, "Well, wait till he finishes." If it didn't process, it's not over. Have I got some warriors? What's that spirit that's in us to be leaders and champions. They see it an easy way to make a little change. When I go preaching for a man, the first thing I look at is his books around the wall, because I know what's in the well is going to come up in the bucket. And when I go to a fellow's church to preach and all of his bookshelves are decorated with flowers and little things, I get a little nervous about that boy. And usually in conversation, I'll say, Doctor, where's your tools? Where you have your study at home? Where are your books? Read anything lately? Have you read anything lately? Have you fed your mind anything lately? Spend any time in here? This room is just not to entertain visiting preachers. It's the pastor's study. A man ought to study somewhere. Have I got some lawyers? You're not going to study? Get out of here. Feeding folk dust gets in their throat. Choke up your church. Folk are gagging, you think they're shouting. You're feeding them dust from the pulpit, and it's sad to say that many of us rather have dust than to have the true meat of God's word. This fellow's first act. First act. He laid the sons of Gideon upon one stone and killed them one by one. But you know what's surprising? You never can kill them all. In every damnable plot, a remnant is going to get away. You, come here. You'll never wipe out all truth. Oh, you'll never get them all. Thought he had killed them all, but one got away. Have I got any lawyers? Jotham escaped the killing. Then you know what Jotham means? It means Jehovah is upright. One got away, no man, in all of his fiendish trying, will ever black out all of the truth of God. No man can ever frustrate God's plans. For remember, in the end will be as it was in the beginning. And in the beginning was God. In the end will be God. God started it, and God's going to end it. Now, things went well for a while. They always do.
That's the truth.
Evil will always run well for a while. That's to get you sucked in real good. You conniving and you're scheming will run well for a while. Nobody gets caught on the first run. How am I talking? How am I talking? Nobody gets caught on the first run. It's always when you get confident. The Bible said 3 years passed. He had 3 years. 3 years. When a man falls, he ought not be disgruntled with the justice of God. No. For God has given every crook 3 years. 3 years. You had long enough to come out. You just wouldn't come out. The boy Abimelech had 3 years.
3 years.
But he wouldn't come out.
Yes, sir.
Have I got me some more? The King James Version says that after 3 years, God sent an evil spirit. Have I got any warriors? God said it. God said it. God will mess up your plan. God will bring your mess down. God will strip you in time. God will show everybody who you are. God will knock down your castle. God will derange you. God will throw you. God will subjugate you. He's holy. Have I got any warriors? Give me a push. Give me a push. Have I got any warriors? That Jerusalem Bible says, I like it, that God sent a spirit of discord. After a while, God changed the mind and the appetite of the nation, and they started rejecting what they used to love. You just better hope that God doesn't turn natural forces loose on you. Well, you Mr. Bad Big Stuff, God turned the housefly loose on this world. They can wipe it out in a few minutes. God's got more ants than he's got people. More birds, more mosquitoes. God could sting us to death. Who do you think you are? With all of your insecticide, you never wiped out the mosquito. What if God put 100 mosquitoes on you at one time? You'd be a miserable soul. God could take a hornet's nest and wipe you out. Have I got no warriors? We are kept by the mercy of God. Somebody ought to say yes. The New English Bible said he made a breach. He cut it in two. He separated them.
Well, sir.
There are not a translation you want to use. They all said that God separated him, Abimelech, from the hearts of the very folk who made him king. It's bad that folk put you up too fast.
Yeah.
and too far. They'll come after you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right.
Yes, sir.
They'll bring you down.
Yes.
Don't you? I said to a young preacher friend, his young boy, and he was a friend of mine, young boy fellow. He's about 22 or 23. Going to the church. in Arizona. Nice church, good church, about 800 members. And he went there, he's a young preacher, and he's young. And everybody comes to hear you when you're young. Because you're a novice, you know. You may not be saying nothing, but just being young. That's why I'm having trouble getting the crowd now. But I used to get them, you know, you do. But when you're young, you can jump high and holler loud and say nothing. And everybody comes over, oh, what you do? But when you get old, you got to work on something. You got to have something to say top to bottom. And then they go to sleep on you. He went to church, and he's a very young fella. And he's a good preacher. He can sing. I don't know who told preachers they had to sing. I'm not going to bother that, but I'm going to. But anyway, he called on the phone, and he said, the elder of this church is so good to me today. So they want to give me a new home, and they're going to buy me a new car, and give me 3 charge cards at the big men's stores. And he went on. He was so elated. And I was sitting on the phone. I said, I hate to punch this boy's balloon. And I said, son, may I say something to you that you're not going to finish? He said, yes, you know, I'll think of you as my father. I said, let me tell you something. You taking too much too quick. If you just got there 6 months ago and they give you a new car, a new house, charge account, what are they going to give you next year?
That's right.
See, the devil. Dr. King's going to give him the devil next year. That's not what happened. Come here a minute, people. Your greed can kill you. Yes. Your greed. Learn to suffer a while and make your ends meet the best you can. Don't live in another man's pocket, and don't be always on somebody's shoulder. Learn to walk in the strength of God. Trust God for your journey, and God will see you over the mountain. Abimelech was made by the people. His salary came from the treasure of the temple of Shechem's idol god. Come here. Watch whose payroll you own. Where your salary is coming from. God's folk ought to be on God's payroll. My brothers and sisters, sooner or later, every man will get to spend eternity with the God who pays him. Have I got any more here? Somebody will me down the road a little bit. One payroll is temporal. The other payroll is eternal. That's right. Make your choice. You might get more raises in one. You might get more, but it won't last long. Have I got any warriors? I'd rather make $100 a week forever than to make 5,000 one time. Have I got any warriors? Have I got any warriors? Abimelech was getting his money from the treasurer of the idol god. I knew his reign wouldn't be long because he was in cahoot with the wrong God.
Come on. Yes, sir.
Can I get the warriors? Don't you get disturbed at your ministry and your church because you have some mess over here? When you have this cult falling and this church falling, don't you get all disturbed and lose your mind about what this so-and-so Father Jones did over here, and everybody just go back and check and make sure whose payroll you own. Have I got any warriors? If God has employed you, you in an eternal service. And the powers of hell won't be able to stand up against you. Have I got any warriors? The war raged. Feel better now.
Yeah, go ahead.
The war raged. Now, we knew this was coming. He came up the wrong way. The war raged. The people of Shechem against Abimelech. But Abimelech was a strong warrior.
Well, sir.
He took down the city of Shechem.
My.
He burned up to the ground. Oh, you tough Abimelech. Who's gonna fool with Abimelech?
Well, sir.
I'm king here. If I can't rule my kingdom, I'll burn it down. Northeast of Shechem,
Tell the story.
there was a little village by the name of Thebes.
Come on, elder.
Thebes hadn't bothered Abimelech.
No.
He had conquered Shechem,
Yeah.
could have rebuilt it, still been the king. But you know what? When evil sets in motion in a man's life, it never can do enough. When you are habitually wrong, when you are destined to be wrong, look like you can't do enough wrong. Wrong on top of wrong, and dirt on top of dirt. You can't put out because the thing possesses you. Have I got any warriors? Thebes. Over there, minding their own business, taking care of their own chores, hadn't bothered Abimelech, hadn't bothered Shechem. But after Shechem was destroyed, Abimelech said, I got to whoop somebody else now.
My. Help us, Jesus.
I'm bad. Tough. I'm supreme. I'm a sovereign in my own eyes. What's a little nitty pics over there in Thebes doing? Let's go over there and whip them. King everybody, I don't care, I'm king. King everywhere. Going to Thebes. Going to take her down. But Abimelech did not notice the geographical layout of Thebes. Abimelech should have called in his advisors and got some information about Thebes. You just don't run up on old Thebes. Thebes was situated on the slopes and the summit of a hill. It's hard to take a hill. It's hard to take a hill. Have I got around? All around Thebes, there were openings in the mountains. Cisterns all over that mountain. Thebes could hardly ever go out of water. They had a good water supply because every 50 feet there was a cistern filled with water. It's hard to take a city if you can't cut off the water supply. When they've got good ammunition and a good water supply, it's hard to take that city. Have I got any warriors? You got to cut off the lifeline. Choke them out. Freeze them out. Though you can't reach them, you can't cut off the lifeline. It's hard to take the city. Have I got any warriors? You know where I'm going to. I'll be there in a few minutes. They had plenty of water. They had plenty of water. And then the people of Thebes did trust huts and banana houses and paper houses. They all lived in caves, cut up in the rock. They lived in a rock. It's hard, I tell you, to take down a folk who's got plenty of rock, who lives in a rock. How do you tear up a rock? You can't get to me till you get by my rock.
Go ahead and preach it.
Oh,
Talk about the rock.
somebody, tell Abimelech, you better come back from there. Run down there and tell him. Can y'all catch him? Anybody catch him? Somebody get Abimelech, tell him don't go into Thebes. They're too fortified. Tell them don't go into Thebes. Tell Abimelech, you've done your dirt, and you might can live a few more days, but don't go to Thebes. Stay out of Thebes. Strange folk in Thebes. Have I got any warriors? And not only did they live in the rock, they had constructed a stone tower in the middle of the city. The tower was of such. In the time of danger, all of the city knew to get up and run to the tower. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on. Have I got any warriors? The tower door was so constructed that there wasn't a handle on the outside. It locked from the inside. The tower door was never shut till everybody was on the inside. And as soon as everybody was on the inside, the tower doorman would pull the big door shut and bolt her from the inside. The tower door was cut so that when the door was shut, it fit so in the construction that you couldn't tell the door from the wall. And when the enemy came at the tower, they couldn't really find where the entrance was. They just ran around the tower like madmen, beaten everywhere, trying to open up the tower. But the enemy didn't realize that the lock was on the inside and nobody could get in but those who lived in Thebes. When he came with his mighty band of warriors up the hillside, shouting and trembling, on his way into Thebes, the Thebanites saw him coming. The alarm was sounded that danger was in sight. They left their rock houses and ran to the stone tower. Have I got any warriors? Have I got any warriors? While Abimelech and his men came up, the last man ran in the tower. The door was shut. Everybody is safe. Abimelech and his men came at the tower. But you don't understand. You don't push over towers. You don't knock down towers. They are built out of stone. And they are sitting on a great foundation. Have I got any voice? The tower is my hiding place. The tower is my safety in the time of danger. Have I got any voice? The tower is my life support system when my enemies prevail upon me. Have I got any voice? Have I got any voice? Abimelech said, well, let's burn down the door. See if we can get in by fire. Is that right? The tower was made so big that not only they could all get in it, but they could crawl up to the top and stand up on it and look at the enemies trying to bring them down. Have I got any warriors? Y'all don't hear me. Have I got any warriors? The tower was so constructed that it had a top stone floor. In the top of the tower, the saints got so secure, they crawled up on top of it and began to walk around and strut themselves in the eyes of their enemies. Do y'all hear me? They got so bad, they walked around with their hands on the hip, seeing the enemy around the tower, napping and grabbing, trying to get in, but they were so safe. They were so secure. They just strolled in the sunshine, licked their tongues at the enemy, said, I know you want me, but you can't get me because I'm safe, 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 safe. Safe in the tower. Have I got any warriors? I'm fixing to close now. About that time, You know the story. There was an unknown woman who found a piece of a millstone upon the tower. Is that right? Remember that Abimelech laid 69 brothers down on a stone. Is that right? And killed them dead. But this time he didn't lay on the stone. The stone fell on him. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? It broke his skull and he laid there and died. Well, warriors, I've got to go to my seat, but I've never felt any better in all of my life. I heard my inner man was on his way. One Thursday night, 38 years ago, I heard that Abimelech was coming up my hill. You know what I did? I ran to my tower. I got up in my tower, and I want to tell you, I'm safe forevermore. Before I take my seat, I've got to make one more round, because I haven't told you who my tower is. I'm hiding in the tower of my salvation. I'm hiding in the tower of my security. I'm hiding in the tower of eternal love. His name is Jesus. Thank God Almighty. I thank God Almighty. I've got a hiding place. Rock of ages, cleft from me. Let me hide myself in thee. Is Jesus your tower? Is he your tower? Is he your tower?